Welcome everybody and welcome to today's webinar, The Future of Marketing. My name is Kamen Damjanov. I'm a solution engineer at Progress Software working with Sitefinity. And with me today is James Beeson, Director of Rika Digital, and several other panelists that are going to be taking part of today's webinar. Some housekeeping rules at the beginning. If you're having trouble hearing us, try connecting to your computer audio and not use the phone audio. It's a setting that you can find on the top right corner of your screen. If you have any questions, again, submit them in the question panel that you can find on the right-hand side of the screen. And if you are wondering if we're going to record this session and send it out after that, yes, we are. So it will be recorded and made available pretty soon. Couple of words about Sitefinity at the beginning. Progress Sitefinity is a content management and analytics platform that allows developers and marketeers to deliver, optimize, and scale compelling, unified, and personalized omni-channel experiences. On their path to digital maturity, successful marketing and IT teams need to be supported by a growing arsenal of experience management tools that drive automation, self-service, and omni-channel engagement. So that tool is Sitefinity that allows you to continue delivering purposeful and tailored messaging and secure the experiences at scale. As I mentioned, Sitefinity provides engaging experiences and also fastest time to market. It's one of the most user-friendly CMSs that delivers rapid and cost-effective delivery of websites, B2B, B2C, and B2E experiences. Also, of course, provided with unparalleled ease of use for marketeers and developers. For the marketeers that we're focusing on today, personalization and analytics to optimize the customer journey, backed up with data-driven analytics and also easy to create personalization, and not to forget the rapid time to market across multiple sites and languages. Those are the strong benefits of Sitefinity. Sitefinity is created to solve several key challenges. Some of them, first one is how to deliver intuitive, multi-site, multilingual, multi-channel, omni-channel content and manage this content via content management system. How to have actionable analytics and also audience discovery. Tailor your messaging for that audience. And deliver digital marketing functionality out of the box. The third challenge is having a cloud-enabled, extensible, and connected ASP.NET platform that allows you to get to the market faster compared to any other CMS on the market. And final challenge that we try to solve with Sitefinity is having a B2B and B2C commerce and site search tailored to your business needs. And for all of that, we are preferred by customers. Sitefinity is recognized by both the analysts and the users of CMS market. So we've been recognized both as Gartner Magic Quadrant participant and for 2 years in a row chosen as a customer's choice in Gartner Peer Insights. And now giving the word to James. And to the panelists that are going to be part of today's discussion. What comes next in the marketing sector? James?
Thank you very much, Carmen. So welcome to the webinar. Today we're going to get into what I think is largely going to be non-technical, but still very much appropriate to the information that you've just heard around digital experience platforms and Sitefinity in particular. We have got a panel discussion around 4 big topics that affect marketers, irrespective of what industry they're working in. So we'll cover business strategies and the role of marketing in the current climate, marketing technology trends, issues around data and customer identity, and the skills issues within marketing and how that affects running agile marketing teams. So to introduce our lovely panelists, I'd like to welcome, firstly, Sati Danjal, marketing consultant who I've had the pleasure of working with for many months now on some large projects. Welcome, Sati. And Stephen Wakeling, Director of Forward, division of lastminute.com, forwards advisory business around marketing in housing and media. Maria Seres-Raz, marketing strategist who has been a friend of Rika for many years now. Welcome, Maria. And Christina, my colleague and co-founder of Rika. Okay, so with all of your brains engaged, let's go through some of the big themes that are impacting marketers in various industries. And big theme number one, business strategies and the role of marketing in the current climate. Obviously, this is a exceptional time worldwide, and marketers of all sorts have had to try and, I guess, adjust to a changing landscape, changing customer behaviours, and a lot of uncertainty going forward. So I'd like to dig in a little bit with the panelists to see how they've been affected by this and what strategies are employed by their various organisations to counter the problems that we're currently experiencing. So firstly, how have the industries that you work within been affected by the worldwide events? And I'll start with you, Sati.
Thanks, James. So it's been a huge issue. So the client I'm working with at the moment is primarily based in the UK. We are a mortgage lender, and with the lockdown, it's had a kind of a huge impact. It's also changed the way in which we have to speak to customers, primarily around offering a more digital means, more so than via the traditional contact center. And finally, probably something that's impacted everybody is around adapting to home working and making sure everybody can able to work from remotely.
Yeah. Turning to you, Stephen, obviously the travel sector hugely impacted by this, and I know you're not directly necessarily working within the travel business as part of Forward, but clearly it's a big part of your background. What's been the impact around you?
Yeah, absolutely. We focus mainly on the travel and leisure sector. So many of our clients come from the industry, and I think it's been apparent to everyone that travel has really been at the sharp end when you look at the impact of the current situation. So almost overnight, we rely very heavily on media and marketing activity and campaign activity from the sector. And almost overnight, the business went into the freezer. So no longer do we have clients sending us briefs and clients sending us opportunities for marketing activations. So it really made us look at how do we stay relevant in a period of relative downtime for the industry. And what we found is that by offering our expertise, offering our advice, and offering a very clear insight into what we see is happening, both in the impact on travel behaviours, but equally on consumer behaviour, and how that can become really valuable for our clients in a time of relative inactivity, shall we say. So we wanted to just be useful, be relevant, stay very close to our customers. So we've designed initiatives and programs that have allowed us to do that. And luckily, we're starting to see a positive uplift in travel trends more recently in the recent weeks.
Fantastic. Maria, so turning to you, what strategies have been adopted or are being planned, if you like, in your industry, in the sector that you're working in?
Well, right now I'm working in a sector that provides, it's a software platform that provides employees benefits and recognition. So it has been a key moment for this industry because companies are looking for ways to make people that are working from home more engaged. And the way to be more engaged is to have a recognition by their peers, recognition by their managers, also to provide more up-to-date type of benefits, more information. For example, people can use their cycle to work while they are on lockdown. It's not just they need to go to work. So to provide all this information in a way that HR managers or directors can use it has been key for this company. So what we've been doing is we identify what are the key elements for HR managers and directors, what are the things that motivate them to engage them, to really what they are struggling with. And we created a plan of series of webinars tackling different issues and different topics. And also we have Black Lives Matter, and we have the LGBT months, and all these were very strong topics for the HR industry. So we created a huge amount of webinars, sometimes 3 a week. If you think a company that have done one webinar once every 6 months, to have 3 a week is massive. So that really have increased the amount of marketing activities to reach the right people, to invite them to the webinars, to follow them up with the right materials, etc. And it has been an important moment for the company because these webinars got a lot of the attention. In the industry, even the competitors are saying, oh, this company is really doing an amazing job, because we really think strategically how to tackle this issue. It's about what people really need, what are the concerns, and go through that, not in a selling way, but in an engagement way, saying, okay, these are the things that you need to look in order to engage with your staff, etc. So it was a really important time.
Yeah. Turning quickly back to Sati, so from a financial services perspective, obviously this has been a time when a lot of people have been looking to economise. There's a lot of uncertainties, and obviously the housing market in general, kind of suffered a complete standstill. So what do you think will change in terms of customer behaviours from this point forward? Obviously there's a huge unlocking of the housing market. What other factors do you think are there about customer behaviours?
From our customer base view, we've seen a huge trend from moving over to digital because unfortunately our contact center were completely hammered. We've had to communicate with our customers in a more digitized and very online view, and certainly it has pushed a number of customer service related projects from a digital view at the forefront of management, and pushing those through far quicker than we would have liked to have done, but unfortunately the market has determined that. So the contact center, we had hours of unfortunate waiting time, so we had to communicate with our customers in a far different way. We had to pause our acquisition because the UK was on complete lockdown, and we've had to focus our efforts around how do we help our customers during this troubled time by offering payment holidays to our customers, and to offer a complete different process whereby we just didn't have before the pandemic occurred. So we had to very, very quickly think on our feet about offering alternative modes of communication in rapid time. It's made us work a lot closer together and a lot of focused on results.
Fantastic. Stephen, so interestingly, there's been a huge uptick in online use. What's been the impact and effect on that on media campaigns, media usage and consumption?
I think you raise a really good point. I think when we talk about some of these seismic shifts towards consumption, and Sati touched on it with more people turning to digital platforms, I think we've been encouraging clients to really look at, for advertisers to look at their current marketing strategy, especially by way of channel. And one of the panelists touched on a really important point, understanding where to reach the right customers with the right message at the right time, but most importantly, in the right context. So I think context at the moment and finding empathy in your communications and making sure that your message is cut through in a time where sort of everyone kind of came out with the same red flag messages at the start of this crisis. And we've moved beyond that into really looking at better understanding who our customers are, how to engage with them, and how to find the right tone of message. And I think that message is resonating with a lot of our clients that we're talking to at the moment, who have kind of moved beyond that initial feeling of panic and fear from what this pandemic has caused, into how can they actually start now planning for recovery and planning for resilience during this period. And seeing that online shift, we're seeing the emergence of a different way of using social influencers, a different way of connecting on social, whether it be TikTok or through connected TV or some other more emerging platforms from this crisis. So it's really about being agile, to use your term, in finding the right messages at the right time, in the right platform, in the right time.
Thank you. Christina, turning to you, how do you think clients are adapting campaigns, new product development and launches and promotions now at this particular time, and sort of maybe looking forward rather than what's happened before? What do you think is going to happen now? Is there going to be a big unlocking of new products and a big uptick in campaign activity?
Overall, online media consumption has increased during lockdown, and we as marketers expect this to continue. So average online consumption and average time spent online has increased by at least an hour and a half to 2 hours, and currently is estimated to be around 14 hours a day on a typical customer. That obviously includes time spent on mobile devices. So that's a long time that our potential prospects and customers are spending online. So what we are expecting to happen is this trend to continue after the lockdown is lifted. So general e-commerce trends have everything sped up. Things were coming, but I think everything just escalated to a point where perhaps was a couple of years away. So I think most marketeers will lift their budgets towards advertising and reaching the right people. But I think one of the biggest change that we're seeing in the biggest shift is that contextual relevance that everybody was touching on, being more mindful of what's going on around us, being more empathetic, and that's certainly coming through in all of the campaigns that we've been managing. So I think we'll see more and more of that, being more empathetic and mindful of what's going on around us.
Okay, thank you. Just finally, to round out this topic, Sati, what do you think is happening around the importance of measuring return on marketing investment? Is that something that's going to have a huge additional focus?
I think it's hugely important. From a marketing view, we need to show the rest of the business that with the leads or whatever the function is of that particular campaign, is an acquisition campaign, has positive return on ad spend, whether or not it's helping customers through a variety of digital sources. It's paramount. It's always been the forefront of every campaign or every aim of any campaign that we need to do. So it's absolutely paramount, James, especially from an acquisition view.
Okay, so that brings us nicely to the next big theme, which is around budgets and measuring marketing's role and contribution to the bottom line and also customer experience. Stephen, given the work that you're doing, not just within the Last Minute Group, but your client base as well, have you seen a big increase in the number of people talking up digital transformation projects, or have you seen more risk-averse organisations that are generally cutting back on investment?
I think Christina touched on a really good point around events such as COVID-19 kind of accelerating trends that were already there. And I think we can look back through past events, whether it be a financial crisis or 9/11, especially in the travel industry, that have had big impacts on our sector. I think in the context of digital transformation, it's my opinion that this word kind of gets bandied around, or this theme gets bandied around quite openly, quite freely, without a real key understanding of what it means. So when we're talking to people around, especially around in-housing and around optimizing digital experiences, especially in the context of marketing, I think the biggest change that we're seeing is that marketeers are realizing that digital transformation isn't just the role of the marketing department. It's actually an organizational wide view and how businesses are set up to transform from the entire ecosystem of that company. So if we look at it from a marketing perspective, everything from product development through to the customer's interaction with the product and perception of the company's brand values, right through to marketing channels, whatever that may be, and messaging and everything that goes with that. And I think what we often see when we talk to clients is this kind of disconnect. So what I hope this has caused, which this event will obviously cause marketeers to start looking at future strategies, looking at their P&L, looking at their cost lines, and coming to a decision that if they're looking to embark on a digital transformation journey, that that's going to touch various business units within the organization, not just the marketing function, which is often seen as being the driver for this kind of program.
Yeah, back to you again. And Sati, obviously, Kensington Mortgages, big project that we're happy to be working with you on, and also a big Progress Sitefinity project. The drive and the momentum for digital transformation at Kensington hasn't stopped, has it? It's actually kept going throughout this process. Yeah, that's something that you've been involved with. Any comments on why do you think that transformation didn't stop, why it carried on?
Because of the importance, quite simply. It's the fact that the contact center was being hammered, so we need to service our customers in a more cost-efficient way. And it had always been on the cards or in the roadmap, but this has just absolutely accelerated it. Stephen mentioned earlier the right message at the right person to the right time. It's just so important. It just puts a magnifying glass on the processes, especially when, unfortunately, a lot of people had to work from home, and a number of our customers had some requested payment holidays on their mortgages. Yeah, it was just something that's absolutely accelerated that process. And being able to work as a unified team with one goal, that everyone's impacted, has made the team far better in searching for results and making sure you drive for the results.
Yeah, fantastic. Maria, I'm interested to understand how marketing is perceived within the organisation where you're employing your skills right now. Do you think marketing's role as a revenue contributor and as a pivot for customer experience is understood and valued within industry?
It is definitely a revenue contributor. In this company, in Benefex, it has been the team that have been pushing on more and creating more activities in these 3 months. It has been recognized as the busiest team. But also, as you have said, the customer experience is completely embedded in all the marketing activities, because we had to really think about the customer and all the customer journeys and how is the experience in each interaction, and what are the things that they are concerned, and what are the things they can be motivated with, or can be obstacles for them. So we have to think for every step and all the campaigns together. If we are doing email marketing activities and on LinkedIn and campaigns at the same time, how are the messages in both campaigns that have consistency, but at the same time they have their individual tone of voice because they are different channels. So it has been extremely important marketing in this period.
Okay, fantastic. So big theme number 3, trends in marketing technology. And I'll start with you, Christina. What MarTech, AdTech trends do you think marketing teams and brands are most excited about?
This is certainly one of the most dynamic aspects of marketing, marketing technology. The fear of missing out that many marketeers are exhibiting sometimes, it has always been a key part of our profession. But looking at the future, I think the biggest trend that I'm seeing is the integration piece. For me, we are going to see a lot more of this integration coming through. because as you all know, the marketing technology stack is quite complex at the moment. I know many people on the call today are probably using on average 4 or 5 different tools. They're using different channels, and the biggest thing when we have so many tools and technologies is how do we integrate all of this data? How do we create a single customer review? So I think for me, the trend, which is not new, but is definitely probably the right time now to pivot, is the single customer review and the integration piece. And I guess the second one is, of course, we always have our eyes open to new trends, new technologies in the space of ad tech and martech. Voice is definitely picking up. This is definitely something that we're observing as a trend. A lot more brands are looking to how they can advertise on different voice platforms, such as podcasts or the voice assistants. And the voice assistants are gradually opening up their platforms for ads, which is something new and exciting.
Obviously, channel. Yeah, I could add also that I think platforms such as Spotify are largely not ignored but undiscovered channel for mass audiences, also with very high contextual relevance for targeting and being brand specific.
Yeah, certainly, and I think that there will be definitely more and more of that as a channel, as a platform, as in a method. So these are for me the 2 biggest trends, and I'll be interested to see what our panelists are observing as well.
Yeah, turning to you, Stephen. So in the media, if you like, sector, what do you think are the trends that people are most excited about? Is it machine learning and artificial intelligence going to graduate?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think where we've always seen the biggest interest really from a media perspective, but also, Forward operates almost like a hybrid business model. We're a media agency, a publisher, and we work with a huge brand in lastminute.com. So for us, it's always about harnessing data and insights. So although we're not blind to some of the advancements that have been made in AI and certainly some of the newer technologies that can bring a better view on our audiences and our customers, I think the single thing we focus on is that everything we do, whether it be a MarTech investment or an ad tech investment into the business, is designed around data and audiences. So where we know that we have an advantage is by not just understanding travelers as a broad customer segment, but actually looking at custom segments and really micro segments. So what we've been able to do over the last 4 years is analyze and build over 10,000 micro segments of our customers across Europe, so that the technology we deploy allows us to enrich the data that we already have and can mobilize for media activity, but allows us to get closer to that holy grail, which is that single view of the customer and understanding wider motivations that aren't just where people are traveling to, why they travel, but also some more lifestyle and behavioral enrichment to that data to allow us to expand beyond just our owned and operated platforms for our clients.
I mean, my observation is that obviously cloud is becoming, if you like, the de facto choice for deployment of technology, and obviously that makes certain things simpler, but it also allows a degree of risk mitigation. You're not committed to large internal infrastructural projects to make new technologies emerge, and proof of concept projects are much easier. Sati, in the financial industry, you've got obviously there's a big compliance structure. The generally being risk averse is a benefit. How do you think financial services industry as a whole is managing new technologies?
From Kensington's view, the client I'm working at the moment, it was all around, can we identify, first of all, basic thing of identifying our customers and our prospects. I think that was quite a pivotal thing that we had to do, but then also try to understand a bit more around our prospects, trying to understand how are they in their journey of their financial application, whether it's a mortgage, credit card, or a loan, or whatever, and what drives them? What is their need for coming to a financial services company, and understanding a bit more about where they are in that journey? So it's all around using the data that we have, trying to make some assumptions, and then presenting the right message to the right person at the right time.
Maria, you like a bit of new marketing tech. How do you think the businesses are mitigating the risk of implementing this? Are they embracing cloud and software as a service, or are they doing things differently?
I think depending on the business. So if the financial services I have worked before, they are very conscious about security, and they're very concerned about how safe will be everything that they put on the cloud. However, they understand the benefits of that. So there are many things that you need to embrace. For example, if you do on Power BI, if you use Power BI for any type of business decisions and reporting, to have it on the cloud will make many teams to be able to access and interact with the data. So these are the type of benefits that they have to evaluate. Is it risky or not? And what are the things that we need to put in place in order to make it safer for the business to embrace that technology and to be able to make decisions based on using that. So I think more businesses are going to take more risk, or they're going to embrace more technology based on the cloud that they're doing it now.
Okay, question over to you, Christina. How do you think brands can measure the investment return on new technologies such as conversational marketing, voice search, AI? How can people start to measure what the return on investment in research and implementation for those platforms would be?
I would say a very clear KPI framework, which is established and bought into from the entire team, is really important at the beginning of any project. So embracing or deciding on a framework and KPI measurement framework, which you will be evaluating the project against as early as possible, is the critical element of this return on investment. And unfortunately, it's simple and it's obvious, but a lot of clients actually skip this step and often blame the vendor or the technology if the implementation fails for lack of any results. But the reality is that they have not necessarily planned the whole implementation properly. They have not put in place a strong KPI framework against which they will measure the success. And often there isn't a team lead to take on board this new technology and essentially embrace it and make sure that everybody follows through. Often we see in large organizations, team members change. Whoever has brought the new technology in the team may leave at some point. So it's really important that the whole organization buys into the new technology or tool being implemented.
Mm-hmm. Stephen, turning to you, with an industry around you that measures interactions in the millions, not in the thousands, what are the MarTech challenges do you think that are specific to those high volume, high turnover businesses such as Last Minute?
I think for us, the lessons that we've learned in the past is really understanding why we're making investment into whichever MarTech or AdTech platform we're deploying, and understanding if it does what we need it to do. I think too often in the past we've tended to follow the crowd and follow what's popular without actually really assessing with the advancements that have been made in this industry with the technology. To be able to really understand what we're using something for and why we're using it. It's that what and why element that we try and cover off. I know it's a different question, but you talked about mitigating risk, and I think for us we have a real test and learn approach to this. If we try something and it doesn't work, we have the courage and the confidence to turn it off and try something else. And I think that's led to us to be able to have a very good understanding of what works for us and why we want to adopt it in the long term, and ultimately the end evaluation of that will be, does it increase revenue for our clients? Does it increase transparency around measurement or data visualization? And does it hold us in a high regard when it comes to client service? And I think that's what we tend to boil it down to.
Yeah, I think we'll come back to that topic in a question a little later on when we're talking about agility. Okay, so let's move on to the next big theme, managing customer identity across the customer journey. I think in previous years, it's fair to say that the single customer view, the 360 view, and to a degree, personalization were both widely promised MarTech or marketing techniques and tools. Sati, do you think this was marketing hype, or is there an achievable reality behind that?
There's definitely an achievable reality behind that, especially in the client I'm working in at the moment. Yeah, it can be done. It needs to be believed. We need to have the right people in place with that kind of goal that everybody needs to work it towards. But yeah, it can be achieved, and the benefits that it would have, both from an acquisition view, on a customer retention view, and also to build out new products for customers is huge. The potential is there. It is whether or not it's adopted from management and having that one goal that everyone drives in. I think that's the kind of the critical thing that we have to push as being as marketing people.
This is a progress hosted event, but it would be remiss of me not to say what a big role Sitefinity has played in enabling that within Kensington. And in general, I think the approach that Sitefinity takes is simpler to deliver personalization and simpler to deliver a more holistic customer view. Other platforms and other organizations have failed because that appears to be very complex. From what you've experienced so far, Sati, is a simplicity the key there, and starting small and learning as you're going along?
Yes, that was adopted from management down, which is around, let's get something up and running, let's build out on it, let's not spend months building something and then having a big bang, because let's face it, guys, the world changes so quickly now. So let's prototype, let's iterate, let's just make sure we have small incremental improvements, whether or not it's on a sprint basis or every 2-week basis or whatever it is, but let's just have something small. Let's get something out there in the marketplace. Let's see what data we get, what learnings we have, and then we adapt, because you never know what our assumptions could be completely false, and we've just spent many months in the development phase, whereby if you get a prototype out quickly, you can adapt very, very quickly. But I still say it's around making sure that we've got the right people in the project, because that kind of mindset is so important.
Data quality and maintaining data quality across complex systems, multiple systems of record, in your experience, what's the best approach there?
I have been having this conversation in different companies, and the approach, I think, is always start small, try to look for the short wins, because all the companies, they have issues with data. It doesn't matter how small or how big they are, and data lives in silos. And in order to connect and use the data properly, you have to have an objective of why you want to use this data for. So you have to look for what are the quick wins. If you want to, integrate the sales data into the marketing data, okay, let's think about a campaign. If you want to integrate the finance data with the sales data and to try to match what you are selling and what both teams they're saying, try to think about, okay, let's look for a product line that now is driving more revenue. Let's try to tackle one problem at a time instead of thinking and to solve everything, because you are not going to solve everything. So if you tackle one problem at a time, but apply and data structures that think bigger, think about how the whole company could embrace these data structures for the future, you're going to have better quality data.
Yeah, good point. Christina, turning to you, what do you think has been the impact of privacy and compliance legislation, so GDPR, cookie law, increased complexities around reporting. Has that had a detrimental effect on brands' ability to be able to effectively market themselves, or do you think actually the reverse is true, and actually getting some of this stuff sorted out has given some more opportunities?
I definitely think that the initial worry that most marketeers were experiencing have been substituted by more confidence that this is the right thing to do. Personally, I have not seen a tremendous impact on actually performance when it comes to marketing campaigns. On average, we see across organizations 75 to 80% of people opt in to be targeted, for example, which is different to what we originally expected. I think there is definitely changing attitudes to privacy. I think there is a shift in consumer sentiment. And especially now after the crisis, for the brands that have been open about it, I think people are getting a bit more relaxed towards the issues of data privacy. In fact, a recent survey suggested that over half of the UK adults are now willing to share more personal data, such as location and even perhaps health data, in order to help in this particular instance, obviously the spread of a virus, but this sort of shift in attitude is going to transcend into brands, I think. And there is the other benefit that most companies, if they implement the right approach in place, if they ask consent directly, they become owners of their customer data. So first-party data becomes the norm, and everything else could be potentially based around behaviors. But I think Stephen is probably the one to best comment on that, given that they work in an organization where targeting is paramount to everything.
Yeah, and I was going to turn to you, Stephen, and ask you, with your in-housing consultancy hat on, how do you think brands and organizations are going to be affected about attribution and the ability to be able to understand what's happening in a post-cookie world, so where third-party cookies are no longer available to provide context?
Yeah, I think it's been a natural evolution of our industry, really, and with this, Christina mentioned it with the impact of GDPR and when this was enforced. I think the Google directive was something that we thought was coming, and we certainly anticipated it. Luckily for once, Google have given us a bit of notice this time, so we have a bit of time to prepare and to reorganize into how we deploy targeting activations for our clients. I think one of the good things to come out of this really is around, you mentioned it, around context, and it actually puts the onus back on the marketing teams to actually identify the platforms that best engage with their ideal target customers. And I think we're going to see far more attribution and marketing effectiveness derived from brands and publishers creating better content, better branded content, better omni-channel content that really engages with customers in a better way. So we're certainly looking at it as a positive shift. As I said, we sort of anticipated it. We do feel that there will be an impact, but in a positive way over time. And again, will lead to better marketing effectiveness around effective storytelling and engaging content from publishers to customers.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, the final big topic, final big theme, skills within the marketing industry and the importance of it, agile mindset. And I'm going to stay with you, Stephen, here, because you kind of mentioned this previously. What do you interpret agile marketing to be, and how important is it?
Well, it's kind of come to the forefront and really been thrown into the spotlight during the current crisis. When we talk about agile marketing, it's never been more important in a time of COVID, where this real test and learn approach is needed. And I think the importance of having a plan B, both in marketing plans and marketing strategies, but also in the messaging and the communications that you're putting out there to your customers. Agile marketing for me is that real entrepreneurial mindset, really, to kind of test and learn and be quick to make decisions and deploy those decisions and capitalize on opportunities that allow you to be one step ahead of everyone else, really. So I think that's something we always recommend to our clients, is around removing friction, removing bureaucracy, and removing over-engineered decision cycles in your process. But equally, from a forward perspective and how we operate, we've always had at the core of our brand values the ability to try stuff, fail, fix fast, fail fast, that kind of mentality that's allowed us to learn very quickly. And I think if we're learning and we're adapting and we're finding new ways of working that are effective for our business, then for me, that's being agile and adopting that mentality.
Maria, are there any particular barriers that prevent you and your team from being agile in your role?
Not in the current team that I am, because it's a very agile company and they have this methodology in everything that they embrace. But I have seen big companies struggling with that. And so again, is if you have small teams that can embrace agile and they can show to bigger teams that this work and how they can adapt to the different environments and the different trends and reach their objectives faster, that could make bigger teams to really embrace that attitude.
Okay. Christina, I mean, a big part of the Rika ethos is around making sure that our clients are upskilled and are able to be self-sustaining and autonomous in both their technology and their strategic activities. How do you think that approach works, and does it increase agility, or does it tend to conversely increase reliance on agencies?
I think the more agile the organization and the client, the less reliance they have on agencies, because one of the key reasons why big brands tap into agencies at the moment is because of this agility, when in reality it should be for their creative skills and just this external perspective. At the moment, a lot of big organizations tap to us as specialists because they want this campaign, this web project. They want this done quickly, and they know they can't achieve this with their internal team. So that's why they end up using agencies. But in reality, they should really use organizations like ours for external creative support, external support with technical skills, augmentation. But this agility should really come from the inside.
And Stephen, obviously the in-housing movement, if we call it a movement, is all about embracing the internal capabilities of organisations. What do you think are the biggest barriers right now to adopting in-house marketing and media activity?
That's a great question. From the conversations we're having with clients, there's kind of two key things that are proving to be an inhibitor, and there's potentially a third, but I'll come on to that later. I think firstly, stakeholder buy-in. So I think what you're finding is that marketeers are under more pressure than ever to do more with less, right? And that performance side of marketing has become the norm for the last 3 years. And I think when you have a marketing team that's truly looking at in-housing to drive efficiency, they want to deliver that message up into the organization. But CEOs often think that in-housing is this silver bullet that you can kind of drive efficiencies almost overnight, that they need to realize that it's a journey and that journey can take time. I think the second thing is around a real big issue in our industry, which is digital skills and a real shortage of people that understand how to deploy technology, how to attribute properly, how to look at customer methodology, so that they're using all of this when it comes to marketing plans and marketing strategy. And I think we've seen that a lot. So that's where the in-housing model is slightly preferred, or clients who are exploring it because they want to upskill internally and to have those skills within their own organization and embedded into everything that they do. So that's another driver. I'd say the third driver, if I may, is we've never really been, as an organization, going out there and being pro in-housing. We've never been, in-housing is a term that is in vogue at the moment, but it's been around for years and years and years. What we're really encouraging clients to look at is being pro-efficient. So too long has large areas of media and marketing functionality have been relied on by brands, by third-party external agencies, and we just saw this shift in brands wanting to cut out having to be over dependent on third-party agencies for delivering what is relatively technology driven and repeated marketing function. So with the kind of democratization of technology and the platforms that you guys have all discussed, I'm sure you're familiar with, we just feel that a large proportion of repeated marketing activity can now be handled in-house fairly easily. So when you combine all of those, I think the biggest kind of an inhibitor is just that stakeholder management piece and understanding that moving to more efficient models and moving into an in-house model is something that takes time and isn't an overnight quick fix to a P&L.
Okay, thank you. So Saty, just rounding out the discussion, what do you think are the essential skills that the marketer of 2021 and beyond is going to need?
Very simple. It's the growth mindset. I've seen kind of youngsters, I feel like, want things on a plate without working for it, and that's kind of very difficult for people to work with. That growth mindset is so important. Is that always absorbing new stuff, whether it's tech or whether or not it's anything online. And I think for me, that is the most important thing, is that mindset of that individual. That's the number one thing that, from an essential skills, I'd like to encourage in the youth of today.
Do you think there's been a tendency for marketers to stay on the safe side of the line, and maybe some more courage is needed going forward?
Yeah, there's too much kind of BAU stuff. It needs to be a bit more, let's test something. It's okay to fail, because if you don't test it, you have no idea if it's going to work. And that is, again, it's the mindset. It's the, if it's going to fail, it's fine. Let's understand what this campaign or this deliverable is going to achieve. What's the hypothesis? What is the anticipated results? And let's just do it. Because if you don't do it, you won't know. Now, that's hideous in my world. That is just, it's pointless even trying. So yeah, that's something so important to me.
Fantastic. So thank you, Saty Danjal, Stephen Wakeling, Maria Seres-Rouse and Christina Angelova for your contributions. I think it was a fascinating discussion with plenty to take away there for everybody that's listening to the webinar. And I just wanted to sort of round out kind of why we did this. What is this in the context of progress and Sitefinity? Well, RECA's mission really is to help clients maximise the opportunity by aligning all of the strategic elements of business and marketing and technology together. So we're occupying that space between a consultancy and an agency. And one of the greatest passions is to drive effectiveness and transparency in marketing and media ecosystem, and also making sure that companies choose the right technologies and do things properly straight from the get-go without making those expensive mistakes. And we're lucky enough to have worked with some immense brands in a bright diversity of sectors, and allows us to, I guess, to be able to draw this conversation together and to look at the bigger picture beyond just the technology, and see what's affecting everybody around us. At this point, I think we're going to throw open the webinar to some questions from the audience, and I'll pass this back to Progress now to manage this process. Thank you.